Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. What's the one thing that's holding you back from living the life you've always dreamed of? Is it fear, doubt, or maybe you just don't know where to start? Well, today I'm going to share with you 3 rules, 3 powerful principles that absolutely transformed my life. And if you apply them, I promise you, they'll transform yours too. Let me tell you something. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens because of you. The moment I realized that I was the architect of my own destiny, everything changed. You see, most people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect person to come along and save them. But here's the truth. The perfect moment doesn't exist. What exists is right now, this moment, and the decision you make in it. I made a decision to stop blaming circumstances, stop waiting for luck, and start taking massive action. And guess what? When you decide to take control, the universe starts to align with you. So, I challenge you. What decision are you avoiding right now? Decide today. Decide to take control. Because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your decisions. Here's a hard truth. You will never rise above the standards you set for yourself. If you tolerate mediocrity, you'll get mediocrity. If you tolerate excuses, you'll get excuses. But if you raise your standards, if you say, enough is enough, I deserve more, and I'm willing to fight for it, your life will shift in ways you can't even imagine. I used to settle. I used to think, this is just how life is. But then I realized, no, this is how life is when you don't demand more from yourself. So I raised my standards. I said, I will not settle for less than I'm capable of. I will not settle for less than I deserve. And when you raise your standards, your behavior changes. Your habits change. Your results change. So, ask yourself, what are you tolerating right now? And what would happen if you decided to stop tolerating it? Let me be clear. Perfection is a trap. It's a lie that keeps you stuck, paralyzed, and afraid to take action. I used to think I had to have everything figured out before I could start. But here's what I learned. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to take the first step. No matter how small, is what creates momentum. It's what builds confidence. It's what leads to breakthroughs. So, stop waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect time, or the perfect version of yourself. Start now. Take one step, then another, and another, and another. Because every step forward is a step closer to the life you want. So, here's my challenge to you. Apply these rules starting today. Decide to take control of your life, raise your standards, and focus on progress, not perfection. Because the life you want is not going to come to you. You have to go out and create it. Remember this. You have the power to change your life. You have the power to overcome any obstacle, to achieve any goal, to become the best version of yourself. But it starts with a decision. It starts with you. So, what are you going to decide today? Let's make it happen. Let's create a life that inspires you, that excites you, that fulfills you. Because you deserve it. And the world needs the best version of you. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens because of you. But this is one of the most profound realizations that can completely shift the way you approach your life. So many people go through their days feeling like victims of circumstance, as if the world is somehow against them. They blame their job, their relationships, their finances, or even their past for where they are today. But here's the truth. You are not a victim of your life. You are the creator of it. The moment I understood this, everything changed. I stopped waiting for someone or something to come along and save me. I stopped blaming external factors for my struggles. Instead, I took responsibility. I realized that if I wanted my life to be different, it was up to me to make it happen. The first step in taking control of your life is making a decision. And I don't mean a half-hearted, wishy-washy kind of decision. I mean a real decision, one that you commit to fully, no matter what. Most people never truly decide. They float through life, waiting for the perfect moment to take action. But let me tell you something. The perfect moment doesn't exist. What exists is right now, this moment, and the choice you make in it. When you decide to take control, you stop waiting for luck, for someone else to give you permission, or for the stars to align. You take ownership of your life, and that's when things start to shift. I remember a time when I felt stuck. I was waiting for the right opportunity, the right person, or the right circumstances to come along and change everything. But nothing changed. Why? Because I wasn't taking action. I was stuck in a cycle of hoping and wishing, but not doing. Then it hit me. If I want my life to be different, I have to do something different. So, I made a decision. I decided to stop waiting and start taking massive action. I decided to stop blaming my circumstances and start creating new ones. And you know what happened. The universe started to align with me. Opportunities began to appear. People showed up to support me. But none of that would have happened if I hadn't made the decision to take control. Taking control of your life also means letting go of excuses. We all have them. I don't have enough time. I don't have money. I'm not smart enough, talented enough, or experienced enough. But here's the thing. Excuses are just stories we tell ourselves to avoid taking responsibility. They keep us stuck in the same place, day after day, year after year. When I stopped making excuses, I realized how much power I actually had. I realized that I could create the time, I could find the resources, and I could learn the skills I needed to move forward. It wasn't easy, but it was possible. And the moment I stopped letting excuses hold me back, I started making progress. Another critical part of taking control is understanding that your decisions shape your life. Every choice you make, big or small, has an impact. The decision to wake up early or hit snooze, the decision to eat healthy or grab fast food, the decision to save money or spend it impulsively. These choices might seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they add up. They determine the direction of your life. When I started paying attention to my decisions, I realized that I had more control than I thought. I could choose to focus on what I wanted, rather than what I didn't want. I could choose to take action, even when I felt afraid. And every time I made a decision that aligned with my goals, I felt more empowered. Taking control of your life isn't about having all the answers, or knowing exactly how everything will turn out. It's about trusting yourself enough to take the first step, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's about believing that you have the power to create the life you want, no matter where you're starting from. And it's about understanding that every moment is an opportunity to make a new decision, a decision that can change everything. So, what decision are you avoiding right now? What's the one thing you know you need to do, but you've been putting off? Maybe it's starting that business, ending that toxic relationship, or finally prioritizing your health. Whatever it is, I challenge you to decide today. Decide to take control. Decide to stop waiting and start acting. Because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your decisions. And when you take control, you open the door to a life that's not just lived, but truly created by you. You will never rise above the standards you set for yourself. This is a truth that took me a long time to fully understand. But once I did, it changed everything. For years, I tolerated things in my life that I knew deep down weren't serving me. I tolerated a job that didn't fulfill me, relationships that drained me, and habits that held me back. I told myself, this is just how life is, or I'll deal with it later. But here's the thing. When you tolerate less than you deserve, you get stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. You settle for a life that's just okay, instead of one that's extraordinary. The moment I realized this, I made a decision. I would no longer settle. I would no longer tolerate excuses, procrastination, or anything that didn't align with the life I truly wanted. I raised my standards. I said to myself, I deserve more, and I'm willing to fight for it. And when I did that, something incredible happened. My behavior changed. I started showing up differently, for myself and for others. I began to prioritize my goals, my health, and my growth. I realized that if I wanted more out of life, I had to demand more from myself. Raising your standards isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about refusing to accept less than you're capable of. It's about setting a higher bar for yourself and then doing whatever it takes to reach it. When you raise your standards, you start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start to believe in yourself in a way you never did before. And most importantly, you start to create a life that reflects your true potential. So ask yourself, what are you tolerating right now? What habits, relationships, or situations are holding you back? And what would happen if you decided to stop tolerating them? When you raise your standards, you don't just change your life. You transform it. For a long time, I didn't realize how much I was settling. I thought that struggling was just part of life, that everyone dealt with the same challenges, and that I just had to accept it. But the truth is, struggling doesn't have to be your default. You don't have to accept a life that feels like a constant uphill battle. You can choose to raise your standards and create a life that feels fulfilling, joyful, and aligned with your true desires. It starts with recognizing what you're tolerating. Maybe it's a job that doesn't inspire you, a relationship that doesn't lift you up, or habits that keep you stuck in the same place. Whatever it is, the first step is to acknowledge it. The second step is to decide that you're no longer willing to tolerate it. When I raised my standards, I had to make some tough decisions. I had to let go of relationships that were draining my energy. I had to step away from situations that weren't helping me grow. And I had to confront the habits that were keeping me stuck. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Because here's the thing. When you raise your standards, you create a ripple effect in every area of your life. You start to attract better opportunities, better relationships, and better results. You start to believe in yourself more, and that belief fuels your actions. And as you take action, you start to see progress. Progress builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Before you know it, you're living a life that feels completely different from the one you were tolerating before. Raising your standards also means being honest with yourself about what you truly want. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others or chasing someone else's idea of success. But when you raise your standards, you get clear on what matters most to you. You start to define success on your own terms. For me, that meant prioritizing my health, my relationships, and my personal growth. It meant setting goals that excited me and taking consistent action toward them. It meant surrounding myself with people who inspired me and challenged me to be better. And it meant letting go of anything that didn't align with the life I wanted to create. The process of raising your standards isn't always comfortable. It requires you to step out of your comfort zone, to face your fears, and to take risks. But the rewards are worth it. When you raise your standards, you give yourself permission to dream bigger, to aim higher, and to achieve more. You start to see yourself in a new light, not as someone who settles, but as someone who strives for excellence. And as you continue to raise your standards, you'll find that your life begins to reflect the person you're becoming. You'll start to see progress in areas where you once felt stuck. You'll start to feel more confident, more empowered, and more in control of your life. So, what are you tolerating right now? What habits, relationships, or situations are holding you back? And what would happen if you decided to stop tolerating them? When you raise your standards, you don't just change your life, you transform it. You create a life that's not just lived, but truly experienced. A life that's filled with purpose, passion, and possibility. A life that reflects the best version of you. Progress, not perfection. This is a principle that has the power to completely transform the way you approach your goals in your life. For so long, I was trapped in the idea that I had to have everything figured out before I could start. I thought I needed the perfect plan, the perfect timing, and the perfect version of myself to take the first step. But here's the truth. Perfection is a trap. It's an illusion that keeps you stuck, paralyzed, and afraid to take action. The moment I let go of the need to be perfect, everything changed. I realized that progress, no matter how small, is what creates momentum. It's what builds confidence. It's what leads to breakthroughs. And it's what ultimately gets you closer to the life you want. The problem with chasing perfection is that it sets an impossible standard. It makes you feel like you're never good enough, never ready enough, and never prepared enough. But the reality is, you don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to be willing to take the first step. I remember a time when I wanted to make a big change in my life, but I kept putting it off because I didn't feel ready. I kept telling myself, I'll start when I have more time, or I'll start when I have more money, or I'll start when I feel more confident. But the truth is, there's never a perfect time to start. There's only now. And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll make progress. When I finally took that first step, I realized how much I had been overcomplicating things. I didn't need to have everything figured out. I just needed to start. And as I started taking small, consistent actions, I began to see progress. Progress built momentum, and momentum built confidence. Before I knew it, I was making strides toward my goal that I never thought were possible. And the more progress I made, the more motivated I became to keep going. It was a powerful reminder that progress, not perfection, is the key to achieving your goals. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that progress doesn't have to be dramatic or earth-shattering. It can be small, incremental, and sometimes even invisible. But every step forward, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. It's easy to underestimate the power of small actions, but over time, they add up. Think about it. If you take one small step every day, by the end of the year, you'll have taken 365 steps. That's progress. And that's how you create lasting change. Another thing I've learned is that progress requires patience. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results, but real change takes time. It's not about how fast you go. It's about how consistently you move forward. There will be days when you feel like you're not making any progress at all. But those are the days when it's most important to keep going. Because progress isn't always linear. There will be ups and downs, twists and turns, and moments when it feels like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But as long as you keep moving forward, you're making progress. Focusing on progress also means celebrating your wins, no matter how small they may seem. It's easy to get caught up in what you haven't accomplished yet, but it's just as important to acknowledge how far you've come. Every step forward is a victory, and every victory is worth celebrating. When you take the time to celebrate your progress, you build momentum motivation to keep going. You remind yourself that you're capable of achieving your goals and that you're making progress every single day. Letting go of perfection also means embracing imperfection. It means being okay with making mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward. Mistakes are not failures. They're opportunities to grow. When you stop fearing mistakes, you free yourself to take risks, try new things, and step outside your comfort zone. And that's where real growth happens. Progress is messy, imperfect, and sometimes unpredictable, but that's what makes it so powerful. It's not about getting everything right. It's about moving forward, learning as you go, and becoming better along the way. So if you've been waiting for the perfect moment to start, I want to encourage you to let go of that idea. The perfect moment doesn't exist. What exists is right now, this moment, and the choice you make in it. Take the first step no matter how small. Focus on progress, not perfection. Celebrate your wins, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. Because every step you take is a step closer to the life you want. And when you focus on progress, you'll find that the journey itself becomes just as rewarding as the destination. In conclusion, the 3 rules we've explored today, taking control of your life, raising your standards, and focusing on progress, not perfection, are more than just principles. They're a blueprint for creating the life you truly want. Each of these rules has the power to transform your mindset, your actions, and ultimately, your results. But remember, it all starts with a decision. A decision to stop waiting, to stop settling, and to start taking action. A decision to believe in yourself and your ability to create the life you deserve. Life is not about waiting for the perfect moment or having all the answers. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and making progress, no matter how small. It's about raising your standards and refusing to accept anything less than what you're capable of. And it's about taking control, knowing that you are the architect of your own destiny. So, I challenge you. What decision will you make today? What standard will you raise? What step will you take toward your goals? Because the life you want is not going to come to you. You have to go out and create it. You have the power, the potential, and the ability to make it happen. The only question is, will you take the first step? Thank you. Now go out there and make it happen. The world is waiting for the best version of you.